Hi guys, it's Gloria here. Welcome back to the second episode of my videos on crime and forensic science. As I said in the last video, in order to understand crime, we need ways to systematically analyze crime. One of the 4 analysis methods is geographical analysis. So let's dive into that today. A hotspot refers to a geographical area that has very high crime rates. But what does crime rate mean? Crime rates are calculated by dividing the number of criminal events by the area of a particular region over a set period of time. Using hotspot analysis, we can find out the hotspots of a region. Then we can target those hotspots in order to effectively reduce crime rates. Hotspot analysis is done in the following 2 steps. First of all, we have to gather crime records and the locations in which they have occurred. With this information in our hands, we can then plot the number of criminal events and the crime rates of different areas across the whole region of interest. This could be either a county or a district or even cities. There are several ways to represent hotspots: point map, thematic map of geographic administrative units, grid thematic map, and also kernel density estimation map. Point map displays individual data points on a map, where one event of crime is represented by one point, and hotspots will be those areas that have more clusters of data points, such as here. In the thematic maps of geographical administrative units, geographic regions such as districts will be colored to represent its crime rates. For example, the color red is going to represent the bracket of the highest crime rates, and as the color gets lighter, the lower the crime rates. In grid thematic maps, the whole region is going to be divided into equal-sized areas, and each of those areas will be colored according to its crime rates. What the colors represent will be the same as in the thematic maps of geographical administrative units, because they're both thematic maps. Lastly, we have Kernel Density Estimation Map, which is usually called KDE map. The idea of the KDE map is somewhat similar to the thematic maps, but instead of dividing the whole region into smaller areas by, for example, district or grids, KDE represents the crime rates of the whole region over a smooth surface. It may be a bit difficult to understand KDE plots with just a description, but the differences between a thematic map and a KDE plot gets a lot clearer when they're put side by side. To quickly summarize, the 4 of them achieve the same goal, and the goal is to plot and represent crime rates over a big region. However, there are certainly differences between them. The differences lie mainly within how visual they are and how much detail they represent. So the big question is, how do people choose what plots to use? To choose the plot you want to use for hotspot analysis, we need to first consider a few factors. This includes the characteristics of the region you're trying to study, the nature of the data, and also the objective of your analysis. For example, if we wish to conduct hotspot analysis over a huge region and we know that this region has a lot of crime happening, then we would prefer KDE over point map. This is because as the region gets larger and the number of crimes that's happening increases, point maps may no longer be able to provide us with a comprehensive and clear view. There will just be too many points and too many clusters for us to see clearly. However, point maps are still used because it's easy to plot and it also has its advantages in certain scenarios. For instance, if we're doing the hotspot analysis just to inform police deployment, then we don't really need the plot to be that precise. It just has to be easy to plot and easy to understand. We only need to know which areas have higher crime rates, and then we'll deploy more officers. But if the hotspot analysis is part of a research into what factors affect crime rates in certain regions, then we'll need both the data and the plot to be really precise. This is because any uncertainty or changes to the data is going to affect the research findings. Therefore, in this case, we will prefer KDE plots or thematic maps. To conclude, hotspot analysis is the most common method used in geographical analysis. There are 4 types of plots which are used to identify and represent crime hotspots. They serve the same purpose, but they're a bit different in the ways they represent data. Factors such as region size and objective of your analysis will determine which plot is the most suitable. I hope you guys enjoyed the content, and in the next video, I'll be discussing how hotspot analysis can be used in conjunction with temporal analysis. That would provide an even more comprehensive understanding of crime and its patterns. I'll see you guys in the next video.